There are a lot of reasons that I absolutely love having a garage gym. Like my weights are always re-racked, right? There's always good music on the stereo. I haven't worked out to Taylor Swift since I built my garage gym, and that's a good thing. And the puddle of sweat that I just laid down in is my sweat. At least I know it's my disgustingness and not somebody else's. But even above all of those things, there are some really distinct advantages to owning a garage gym that I think a lot of people miss out on. So today on the GymCrafter podcast, we're going to talk about 8 different things that garage gym owners miss out on that you shouldn't be, that will make you love your garage gym even more. Welcome back to the GymCrafter podcast, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the head gym nerd here at gymcrafter.com, and I've got a fun podcast for you guys today. It's one I've been thinking about for quite a while. As you guys know, if you followed the show, I've been training at home on and off for over 40 years. And over that time of not just training, but also being a trainer, I picked up some tips and some benefits of having a home gym that I think a lot of people don't think about. You know, when I first built my home gym, I read a lot of articles about all of the advantages of a home gym, right? There's some of the things I already mentioned, your own music, and you know, there's no commute, and there's always it's always kind of funny when people say, oh, it's less expensive to have a home gym. It's like, do you really own a home gym? Because you know, even though they do that funky math in those articles about if you buy $1,500 worth of stuff and then you work out at home for 5 years, that covers the cost of a commercial gym. And I don't know about you, I don't know if I could train at home for 5 years and not buy anything new for my gym. So I don't think finances is part of it, but I am absolutely willing to pay more for something that is better. And in my opinion, a garage gym is not only better in all of the normal ways we think about, I also think that it presents some opportunities to us that you just don't have when you're working out at a commercial gym. So today I want to talk about 8 things that people either could be doing differently or just don't think about doing at all. There are opportunities in a lot of cases that people miss when they're building their garage gym and when they're training their garage gym, especially if you've come from a commercial gym before this. So let's get into these 8 ways. I really think they're kind of going to be helpful to you in your training and helpful to you in building your gym. And the first one is sometimes what happens when we build our garage gyms is we let perfect be the enemy of good. And what I mean by that is if you've come from a commercial gym, I think what a lot of us forget almost immediately is that we didn't have a choice of what was in that commercial gym, right? Like we worked out with whatever barbells they had there. We worked out with whatever weight bench they had there. We worked out with whatever, you know, cable system or leg extension, or whatever happens to be, treadmills, whatever they had is what we used, and it was fine. And I don't know about you, most of the people that I know, they went to their gym, they worked out, they came home. They didn't spend a whole lot of time going, well, you know, the padding on this bench really could be at 16 3/4 inches tall instead of 16 1/2 inches tall. And like a lot of the stuff that we start doing when we build our garage gyms is we start getting really mired down in the details. And I get that because you're spending your own money on a bench, you're spending your own money on a barbell, and it can get really easy to get lost in the details. But my first tip is the opportunity that we have the opportunity to bring stuff in our gym and just get to training. And I think a lot of times we miss that because we spend too much time researching, watching videos like on channels like mine, which don't stop watching the videos here, but at some point you gotta buy something and get it into your gym. And the reminder that I wanna give you is that, you know, like I said, if you did work out in a commercial gym, you worked out with whatever they had. It's all going to work pretty well. I get a lot of folks who email me and they say, hey, which of these 3 lat pull downs should I buy? Which of these cable machines should I buy? And it's like at some point I kind of go, honestly, they're all kind of the same and similar. Just pick one you like and go. You're not missing out on anything. So that's the first opportunity that I think we miss out on, is we miss out on the chance to just get to training and to build a gym that we love because we spend too much time planning and we spend too much time shopping and too much time comparing and things like that. And we get just, they call it analysis paralysis, right? So that's just a quick one, and that's a little bit different than the rest of these tips. The rest of these tips are gonna have a lot more to do with training and specific gear to pick out. But I think overall, I see enough people emailing me these questions where they're paralyzed by indecision of which one to buy because they're so afraid of buying the wrong one that they forgot that if they were joined to a local gym, they'd work out on whatever crappy bench that gym had. And when I think about the gyms I've worked out in, if you think back on it, they had some pretty sketchy stuff, right? Like when's the last time you were at a commercial big box gym that had a good barbell with knurl that actually had any grip whatsoever, right? So that's just one example. I don't think I've ever worked out in a gym with good barbells, except powerlifting gyms always had great barbells, but outside of that, big box gyms never had those. But anyway, that's point number one. So let's move on to the second opportunity that you have by having a home gym that you just wouldn't have at all in a commercial gym. Now, this is a technique that I learned from the guys at the Mind Pump podcast. It's called Trigger Sessions, and it's part of their very first program those guys ever sold. It's called MAPS Anabolic. I'll put a link to it down below. It's a program I think everybody should have. You guys know the importance on programming that I place here on the channel. I think everybody should be working professionally developed programs. And the cool thing about this program is I bought it. I did it a couple times before I did what they call their trigger sessions because they just didn't seem like would make a difference to me. But when I started using them, man, it was a game changer. And when you have a garage gym, you have an opportunity to do these things where you wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity if you worked out in a commercial gym. So let me explain what these are. Basically, the way that, without getting too sciencey on you, the way that muscle building works is you come into the gym, you make your body do something that's really as hard as it can possibly do, right? It's a task that your body's like, whoa, what are you making me do, right? It's like, okay, whew, that's over. And then you make it do it again, and then you make it do it again. And eventually your body's like, oh, well, I guess if this jerk's gonna make me do this all the time, I need to get stronger. So I'm gonna build muscle so that I can handle this task. Now, little does your body know, you're just gonna make it harder next time. But that's how muscle building works. And that muscle building signal spikes after your workout. And it typically kind of spikes and then it dissipates over the next 24 to 48 hours, depending on how old you are and how well you recover and things like that. Well, the longer that you can keep that muscle building signal high, the more muscle your body is going to build and the faster it's going to put that muscle on. Because what happens is it goes, ooh, hard thing, I got to build muscle. And it's like, oh, well, you're not doing that hard thing. You're not doing that hard thing. You're not doing that hard thing. And if you can keep reminding it that it needs to build that muscle, that's where trigger sessions come in. So trigger sessions are basically this. You're gonna get a pump several times a day on the days you're not working out. So let's say that you work your chest on a Monday. Then what you're gonna do on Tuesdays, you're gonna come into your gym and 3-4 times a day, 2 at the minimum, you're just gonna get a light pump in your chest. Now you can do that doing real light cable flies, you can do that using bands, you can do that doing push-ups if you don't have a gym at home. But the idea is you're gonna pop into your gym because it's there and it's in your house and you've got it accessible, and you're just gonna kind of get a pump a few times a day at whatever muscle groups you worked out the day before. If you did a full body exercise the day before, you're gonna do a quick 5-minute routine, just real lightweight, real high volume. You're just gonna get some blood pumped into those muscles. And this is gonna do a couple things. That blood pumping into those muscles is going to help with your recovery. It's going to help fuel the muscle growth. But you're also going to keep that muscle building stimulus higher over a longer period of time. And if you do that over the course of weeks and months, what you're gonna find is that you're going to build muscle and strength noticeably faster than if you didn't do that. And this is gonna come into play, especially for those of you out there who are working out 2 or 3 times a week, maybe you're doing full body programs. Find the time to pop into your gym before you get in your car to drive to work, right when you get out of your car when you get home from work. Do it after dinner. Just do it a few times a day. And like I said, having the garage gym here allows you to do things like that honestly become kind of a pain in the butt. When I didn't have a real big gym here and I still knew about this stuff, what I would try and remind myself to do is in my living room, I would have a band sitting there. I'm like, oh, because it's my living room, I don't associate it with working out, so I never did it, right? Like, it's just nice that you have a space in your home that when you walk in, your brain goes, oh, we're working out in here. And then you just, like I said, knock out like a 5-minute workout and get yourself that pump and build that muscle building signal in those trigger sessions. Not my idea. Definitely check out that MAPS Anabolic program if you want to know how this works in a context of a whole program. That particular program is 2 or 3 days a week, full body. It's very, very effective. It's going to incorporate some of the things that we talk about later on, but it's a really cool way to really speed up your muscle growth that you can do a lot easier because you have a garage gym. Now, the third opportunity that you have having a garage gym that you just don't have when you go to a conventional gym is similar but very different. And what I mean by that is typically when you belonged to a commercial gym, you had to pack up your bag, you had to drive to the gym, you had to get your workout in, and you had to do as much as you could while you were there in the time that you had, and then you would pack up your bag and you would come home. And hopefully somewhere in there you'd shower. And then you do it again, you either do it every day or 3 days a week or whatever you're doing. The nice thing about having a garage gym is you're not limited to just that time window of when you drove to the gym. You can literally pop into your gym and train anytime you want. And that not only applies to those trigger sessions I talked about, but this also applies to one of the biggest complaints I get as a trainer, which is these certain muscle groups just won't grow. And the three things that come to mind just happen all the time. I can't get my arms to grow, I can't get my calves to grow, and gee, I suck at pull-ups, right? And the reason I bring up those three things is these three things specifically are gonna really benefit from what I'm gonna talk about, which is micro workouts. So, what do those three things have in common? Those three things have volume in common. The best way to get your arms to grow is volume. The best way to get your calves to grow is volume. The best way to improve the number of pull-ups you can do is volume, just getting a lot of it in. Not getting heavy work in, getting a lot of work in. And the reason that that works is because the way that the human body is built and the way that we evolved genetically is that some muscles in your body are designed to do large power outputs in short bursts, right? They're not designed to do the same thing over and over and over and over again without getting tired. Well, your biceps and your calves are designed to do things over and over and over and over again without getting tired across a whole day. Those are two muscles that help us be functional. That's what helps us lift, that's what helps us pull, that's what helps us walk. Same thing with your forearms are another good example. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples that you know in real life that you've probably seen to kind of illustrate this point. If you have a male person who walks your neighborhood and doesn't just, like in my neighborhood, they just drive through to the central mailbox places. But if you're in an old school neighborhood where your postal carrier actually walks, the next time they're walking by, check out their calves. Now, not in a weird way, but check out their calves. Odds are, if they've been walking that route for any length of time at all, they have got gigantic calves, and that's because they're constantly walking over uneven terrain. Their calves are getting volume day after day after day after day. Another one is if you know any plumbers or tradespeople who work with their hands, carpenters as well, they have massive forearms. Is that because twice a week they go in and work their forearms real heavy? No, it's because they're constantly wrenching on things. The plumbers especially, they're constantly turning things and they just build up over time. They build up these massive forearms. So how do you take that knowledge that this kind of excessive volume can build those muscles that a lot of us, especially guys, want to build and have trouble building? And this is why we have trouble building calves, for example, because we think that coming in and doing calf raises twice a week are going to build our calves, and that's not going to build our calves. We think that arm day is going to build our arms, and that's not what's going to build arms. It's going to help. It's a good starting point. It's where you do want to go heavy, but because you have a garage gym, you actually have the opportunity to pop in here every day and do arms, right? Your arms, if your arms are recovered and they're not sore and they're not hurting and they're recovered, you can hit them again. And you can hit them the next day and you can hit them the next day. Same thing with your calves. If your calves are recovered, and everybody knows what it feels like when your calves are not recovered, but if there's none of that pain in there and they're recovered well, you can come in and you can get some more volume in. So the cool thing is you can design, again, just like the trigger sessions, short 5-minute, 7-minute, 10-minute workouts for the body parts that you're trying to bring up, and just come in every day, every other day, whenever they're recovered, and hit those things again. And what I would do is I wouldn't hit them with heavy weights. This is another key, is just think about, the plumber turning the wrench or the postal carrier walking. Those aren't heavy workouts. Those are high volume, lightweight workouts. So I would use light weights and I would use high volume. So rep schemes of like 15 to 20 and do, 3 to 5 sets of that, but just do real light curls, do real, lighter full range calf raises, and make sure you're doing full range. But because you have a garage gym, you are not restricted to the time that you just drove to the gym. And I think that's a big mistake I see a lot of people doing, is it's like, okay, I have a garage gym that's accessible 24/7, but from 6 to 7 in the morning is my time to be in that gym, and they don't go in that gym any other time. And it's like, wow, you're wasting the opportunity. You've got this awesome place that you can go and you can do these small training sessions and really have a huge impact on those body parts you're having trouble with. And let's talk about those pull-ups. One of the hardest things for a lot of people to do is pull-ups. They can't do very many. And if you want to be able to do a lot of pull-ups, you don't even have to do 5-minute training sessions. What I would tell you to do is that every time you walk past your gym, hop in and do 2 pull-ups and leave. Literally takes you 10 seconds, right? And do that as many times a day as you can. If your gym is out of the way, if it's in a basement for some weird reason and not in your garage, then get a door-mounted pull-up bar that you walk past, especially if you work at home. But every time you walk past the pull-up bar or you walk past the gym, jump in there and do a couple of pull-ups, and I promise you, in a much faster time frame than you would imagine, you will start adding just multiple reps of pull-ups to your abilities. So that's another thing, another opportunity I think a lot of people miss having a home gym is not just those trigger sessions, but these little micro workouts that can really allow you to add volume to the muscles that respond to volume. Now, as a caveat, bench pressing doesn't respond that way. Squats don't respond that way. There are some muscles in your body that you really want to just, they're going to better respond by working really hard a couple times a week and then letting them recover. But for all the muscles that I talked about, especially like I said, your arms and your calves, you're going to be really happy that you'd made time to come in here and just hit those real quickly, really frequently. The next opportunity I want to talk about is an opportunity with the gear that we have. I think especially if you come from training in commercial gyms, we get a little bit spoiled, right? Like you go to a really good, like I trained in a really good commercial gym that was actually at where I worked, and one of the owners was really into working out. We had a full hammer strength gym and racquetball court, steam shower, basketball court. It was awesome for a gym at a workplace, really awesome. And the cool thing about it was, hey, you want to work this particular part of your chest? There's a hammer strength machine over there for that. Oh, you want to work your lower back? Oh, there's a hammer strength machine right over there that's just for that, right? That's the cool thing about hammer strength is there's these bodybuilding focused machines that allowed you to work very, very specific muscles, right? You want to work your adductors, there's a machine for that. You want to work your abductors, there's a machine for that. You want to do seated calf raises, you want to do standing calf raises. Like there's a machine for everything. And I think that if you come from that type of a background, we get used to kind of the one-trick pony approach. So what I see a lot of people do is they'll put stuff in their home gym or their garage gym and they don't necessarily get the most out of it. I've mentioned this in a couple other podcasts, I'll probably continue to mention it, but there are a lot of things that the stuff you already own will do that you haven't even thought of before. And then the cool thing is that you can add something like just a very simple, inexpensive accessory, and all of a sudden the things that you have can do so much more. Let me give you a great example that's sitting right here. So this right here is called a slant stack by the Tib Bar guy, and you can get these in a variety of different formats. This is basically 3 stacked platforms and then a slanted board that goes on top of it. So this is an inexpensive accessory. I'll put a link to this down below. I use this thing so much. So let me give you just an example. So I use this thing for calf raises. Remember I was talking about coming in and getting volume on your calves? Just having this thing set up, come up, stand up on top of it. I keep the slant board right on top of the stack. I get nice full range calf raises, a nice good stretch at the bottom. I'll come in here and I'll do like 100 calf raises as fast as I can, taking breaks where I need to, and then in, out, it takes a couple of minutes and away you go. So that's something that I can use this for specifically. But the cool thing is I can also put this underneath me when I'm squatting. I can put the slanted board underneath me when I'm doing lunges, when I'm doing different types of split squats. I use this particular piece as a brace when I'm doing cable work. Like if I'm doing cable presses, I'll put my rear foot on it and it gives me a place to push off of, so it makes those more effective. The boards underneath, what I'll do is, while some of my benches decline, I like to do different varying amounts of decline. So I'll put either 1, 2, or 3 of these under the foot of my bench, or I'll take like my Rep Fitness FB5000 flat bench with a nice wide competition pad on it, and I'll just prop up the bottom of it a varying number of degrees so that I can vary my workout, keep my shoulders healthy, and actually change the variations of what I'm doing. I'll use 1, 2, or 3 of these under my front foot for a front foot elevated split squat. I'll use 1, 2, or 3 of these under my rear foot for a rear foot elevated split squat. So all of the implements that I would normally do those movements with, dumbbells, I was doing Bulgarian split squats today with a barbell on my back. I was loading it with a barbell. And instead of putting my foot up on a roller because that was a little high with that particular type of weight, what I did was I had my foot up on the back of this full slant stack, pushed against the angled part, and that allowed me to do that type of a movement with my barbell. So The reason I'm talking about this is when you look at the implements that you have in your house, instead of looking at them like you did in a commercial gym, which is, well, I go to the squat rack to squat, and I go to the chest press machine to chest press, and I go to the standing calf raise machine to do standing calf raises. Start looking around your garage gym at all of the different things that you could do on the stuff that you already own that you're not currently doing. And I guarantee you that there's a lot of different things that you could add to your training that will make things more fun, that will mix things up, make them more interesting, make you more kind of look forward to coming to the garage gym. I know that when I train people, their favorite week is every 5th week because we change all of the training every 5th week. We kind of do a 4-week blocks and we just keep doing that. And it's always fun for them to come in and see what's new. Not only are we done with those Bulgarian split squats for a while and I don't have to do them for the next 4 weeks, or am I going to do something new and cool? Does Tim have a new cool machine that he's testing out that we're going to get to try? You know, am I going to get to use that thing in the corner that I've been looking at and I've never gotten to use before? So when you do this with your training, it allows you to mix things up, and it really not only adds a lot of fun to your training, but it adds a lot of effectiveness, and it really gets you a lot more for your money. You know, I talked about a home gym not being less expensive than a commercial gym, but one of the ways that you can mitigate the expense is by getting the most out of the gear that you already have. So having not only the imagination or the ability to look things up online of what you can do with those big implements, but also start looking at small accessories like the slant stack, like a plyo box. I can't tell you how often I use a plyo box for different things, whether it's elevating things, whether it's box jumps, step ups, whether it's sitting on them to do pull downs from different angles. There's just so many things you can do with some basic accessories like that. So start looking at your gym and thinking about how can I get the most out of what I have instead of what I see a lot of people doing. And getting back to some emails I get people who will write me an email and go, hey, I want to do this exercise and I'm thinking about doing this, you know, which of these 2 machines would be better for it? And I go, hey, do you have a squat rack and safeties? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, you know, you can do that same exact movement by doing this, this, and this with this type of a setup. And you don't even have to buy a new machine. You just have to use a little bit of imagination for what you have. So I think that's one real big advantage we have as garage gym owners, is that really the limit is just our imagination and what we can do. If you think about it, you know, the guys that train with kettlebells, and I did that for a long time, is with one kettlebell, just one weight with a handle on it, you can do literally hundreds of movements, full body training, get extraordinarily strong with just one kettlebell. So when you think about that and you walk into your garage gym and you look around and you've got a squat rack and weights and barbells and specialty bars and benches and plyo boxes and a couple of machines and slant stacks and all that kind of stuff, there is a lot that I guarantee you there's a lot that you're not doing. And that's a big missed opportunity, I think, with a lot of home gym owners, is they're not getting the most out of what they have. And in that vein, I think at some point here soon, I'll start doing some videos where we talk about not only a review of a piece of equipment, but I really want to start digging into all of the different things you can do on that piece of equipment. I've got some reviews coming up on the Bells of Steel cable towers. I've got 2 in here now. I've got a review coming up on the Force USA leg sled, which I've been promising you guys forever, but one of the reasons it's taking a long time is I want to take some time and show you all the different things that you can do on that, so it illustrates the point that I just made, which is get the most out of what you've already got in your gym. And that leads me to another big missed opportunity. It's one of the things that I actually miss about working out in a commercial gym, is learning from others. You know, what happens when you get your garage gym is it's great, you come in, but you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, you don't know. When I just said, hey, get imaginative and come into your gym and do all these things that you can do, a lot of you probably walk in your gym and go, that I'm pretty much doing, I'm maxing all this stuff out. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm getting everything I can out of it, right? And the problem is you don't know what you don't know. And one of the benefits of working out in a commercial gym with other people is, in amongst all of their sweat and bad music and lack of taking a shower before working out, is some really cool approaches. I can't tell you how many curl variations and bench press variations and lunge variations and different rep and set schemes and different approaches to supersets and trisets and drop sets and pyramids and all this cool stuff that you can learn from other people. We don't get that. So one of the things that I've started doing is I've started watching more training videos and less equipment and gear review videos. While it's fun to watch all of the gear review videos, right? sometimes it's more fun and more beneficial to watch the guys who are putting a lot of effort out there into showing you what you can do with the gear. And there's some really cool, that's where I think like shorts and reels are real beneficial, is if you start watching more stuff like that, you don't even have to really search for it. The cool thing about algorithms is that they show you what you want to see. They look at, okay, what did Tim actually watch and spend time watching? And let's show him more of that, because we want him sitting in front of this for 7 hours, right? So what happens is if you just start looking at a couple of those, the algorithm will start serving up, and you'll find over time, there's a bunch of people out there who are doing a great job of this. But maybe make a little bit of effort to watch some training videos so that you can actually learn from some other people. I would also say, I just gave a couple people this advice, which was they wanted to know what treadmill to put in their gym, and they just don't have room for a treadmill. And while I've got some cool solutions, I got one right here for people who don't have room for a treadmill in their gym. In the end, to me, something cool is if you've got an inexpensive gym near you that has all of the cardio gear, like why not spend 20 bucks a month for the 2 days a week that you're going to do cardio, which is about all you should be doing, guys. But that way you can go, you pay your 20 bucks a month, you've got access to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in cardio machines so that you can go do your elliptical, you can mix it up and go do a treadmill and go do a bike and go do a rower and that kind of stuff. But the cool thing is if it's a decent gym that's a decent size, you can then go back in and keep an eye out and watch what people are doing for their workouts. And in amongst all the crazy stuff from people who really don't know what they're doing, I guarantee you there's some people in there who are doing some things that would benefit your training. So that's one way that you can kind of go back to taking advantage of this if you don't want to watch. And I don't blame you. I don't like watching reels and shorts and stuff like that. I've really got to pay attention to how much of my life those eat up. But if you don't want to do it that way, trying to find a way to go to a normal standard gym. The other thing you can do is start training with partners. One of the things an opportunity that isn't on my list, but it's an opportunity that we all have. If you've got a really good garage or basement gym, an opportunity you have is to share it with your friends and family, to really help other people get healthy who wouldn't normally otherwise do it. Like you might have a neighbor or a family member who lives close by who wouldn't ever make the effort to get healthy and work out and train on their own. But if you just invite them for a workout or two, that's an opportunity you have to share what you've got and what you've built with other people that that you trust, who listen to the music you put on, who are going to be kind and courteous and re-rack their weights and all that kind of stuff. And then in that, you might find a workout partner that you like, that you enjoy working out with, who can then also maybe teach you some new things. So there's a lot of ways to address this opportunity. I just think it's something that we as garage gym owners, we need to be aware when we start falling into a rut, which is, we're going to talk a little bit more here in a second. But that's an opportunity that we miss as well as garage gym owners that actually is addressed sometimes better by joining a commercial gym. And that dovetails into, yeah, there's some stuff you don't know, but there's some stuff that you do know that you just don't do because you don't like it. And I think that a trap that we fall into as garage gym owners is we end up, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else. So I talked about programming before. One of the biggest reasons I recommend people get a trainer, a coach, pay for a program, hire an online coach, is because it's real easy to fall into the trap of just doing a lot of what you like and not doing a lot of what you actually need. And I talk about these all the time, but Bulgarian split squats are one of the absolute best lower body exercises you can do, period, bar none. And left to our own devices, there are very few of us who will actually put in the effort to do them on a weekly basis. And I think that that's a big trap that we need to be aware of, and it's an opportunity that we miss out on is we've got these great gyms, and then we come in and we do the 5 things we like the most. And hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what gets you into the gym, and it's like, man, I don't feel like working out today, but at least I can bench press, then hey, you go bench press, and that's awesome that you got into the gym that day. But the problem is that when you just go bench press, 3 days a week, and you look back on your calendar, you're like, I've skipped leg day for 8 months now, right? Like, nope, nobody's ever done that, right? But so I think it's important to look at that and look at the opportunity that we have to train effectively and build gyms that really help us train and get the best results for longevity, for health, for feeling great, for being better parents, being better brothers, being better friends, having more energy, all the great stuff that comes with working out. But we have to work out effectively to do that. I think that's an opportunity that we miss by having garage gyms, just because we're just in here by ourselves and we don't have anybody else. But the thing is, like I said, it's not much a matter of, hey, there's stuff out there that you don't know, which we talked about, but you guys know what you're skipping that you shouldn't be skipping, right? Whether it's an exercise, whether it's that last set, whether it's that last couple of reps that if you had a workout partner you would do, but you're like, I'm not gonna eke out those last couple. Like, hit those last couple of reps. Imagine there was somebody standing over you going, lightweight, lightweight, right? Just, you can imagine that in your head. And I've never screamed that at anybody, by the way, but I always think about that, right? I think it in my head, those last couple of reps, because those are the important reps in a lot of cases, right? So just remember, when you come out into your garage gym, we want to enjoy it. We want to make sure we like coming out here, but we also want to make sure that we get effective workouts. So the opportunity that a lot of us have with garage gyms is that we tend to skip the stuff that's good for us. Like, I don't eat vegetables, right? So I'll admit it, I don't eat vegetables. I know I should eat vegetables, but I don't. But when I come out into the gym, I eat my vegetables, i.e. do those Bulgarian split squats. And for this next one, I'm gonna put on my trainer hat, because I think what happens is we're gonna talk about kind of combining those last two tips into one and how to actually get some more out of your training. And what happens when we have garage gyms is we tend to not only just do the things we like and not do the things we don't, but we do the things we know, right? We know that back and buys, chest and tries, or whatever your bro split is, or however you learned to work out, whether it was from your football coach or your gymnastics coach or your golf coach or whoever it happened to be, we tend to stick with what we know. And what happens is we do the same things over and over and over and over again. On leg day, we squat. On hinge day, we deadlift. On push day, we bench press, right? And as a trainer, what I see a lot is I see a lot of plateaus where people get stuck. They stop building muscle at some point, and you might relate to this, where it's like, man, I've been coming in Monday chest day for the last 3 years, and I am stuck at 215, right? I can't get to 225. Like everybody, that's like a huge milestone for a lot of guys, is to get to that 225. No matter what they can do, they're like, I'm bench pressing. In fact, I went to bench pressing twice a week, and I'm still stuck at 215. And so when you run into issues like that, what I'm going to talk about will help that. Also, I see a lot of repetitive use injuries where all of a sudden your shoulders get achy, your joints get achy. And I think people think that deload weeks are the way to handle that. Like, oh, my joints are getting sore, I'm going to take a week off. Well, there's another way to approach it. How about we work out so that your joints don't get sore and you don't need a deload week, and you work out in such a manner that you limit the opportunity for plateaus to happen, and you give yourself tools to actually break through those plateaus. And when we have a garage gym, and when we're doing our own programming, and when we have access to whatever equipment we want, there's a few things that we can do that, unfortunately, because it's our house, it's our garage gym, just like everything else in our house, we get stuck in a rut, we get stuck in a routine, we don't think to do. So as many times as I've recommended getting professional programming, I know from experience that a majority of you are never going to do that. You're never going to buy a program. You're never going to hire a coach because, hey bro, I know what I'm doing. I've been working out for 10 years, right? So cool, that's awesome. In that case, let me give you 3 tips that will help you limit your plateaus, limit your need for deload weeks, and keep you healthier over the long-term training. And you can do them all right in your garage gym. The first one is understanding basic periodization. And what that means is that every 4 to 6 weeks, you should be changing up your workouts. And I'm not talking about completely revamping the entire workout. I'm just talking about reps and sets. Now, a lot of you know this, and a lot of you know this and don't do it, but here's how you do it. We can make it real simple. For 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to do heavy weight, low reps. By what I mean by that is 4 to 6 reps, 3 to 5 sets. So 3 sets of 6, 5 sets of 5, 4 sets of 4, something like that. On your main big movements, your bench press, your squat, your deadlift, those movements, you're going to do that for 4 to 6 weeks. The next 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to go to medium reps. You're going to go to 8 to 12 reps. And you're going to go to probably 3 sets, maybe 4 sets. And you're going to do that, and you're going to change that. I'm not going to get into the science of why this works. This is going to be a key component of most good professionally designed programs. There's other ways to train besides this type of periodization, but for most of you out there who aren't ever going to buy a program, who aren't ever going to work with a coach, this is a great way for you to approach your programming that's going to do the things that I talked about. After you do that block of 4 to 6 weeks, the next 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to go to much lighter weights, and you're going to go to higher reps. 15 to 25 reps per set. And again, probably like 2 to 3 to 4 sets. Now, odds are, for most of you out there, you're already doing one of these. Most people have a favorite. Some people like working out heavy and low reps, and that's what they do most of the time. Other people, bodybuilders who like bodybuilding, are typically the folks who do high reps and lighter weights. Female lifters, I find, like to do the high reps and lighter weights. That typically lends itself to hypertrophy, so if they're trying to grow their butt, or they're trying to grow their legs, or they're trying to sculpt and things like that, bodybuilders do the same things. They want to bring up a certain muscle group. They're used to doing that. Other people who are just like, they never learned anything, they're typically doing, oh, I'm doing 3 sets of 10. They're doing that middle, right? And the deal is that each of those is effective in their own way, but they lose their effectiveness. That's why you plateau. So remember before I talked about the muscle building signal, where your body's like, oh, I got to get used to this. I got to get used to it. Well, at some point they're like, okay, we're used to it. I've adapted enough to get used to what you're doing. So the key to moving through those plateaus, to continuing to get results over time, to reducing injury, to reducing issues with overtraining, is to periodize your workouts. And it's cool because you can do that in a garage gym. The problem is, and why this is an opportunity in bringing up in this video, is that people training at home alone typically don't think about doing this. They typically just come in and do the same workout that they've always done. Now, another way that you're going to want to vary your workouts, and this is one that I really enjoy. I learned this from one of my coaches a long time ago, and man, one of the reasons I continue to do, and it's Dr. John Russin, I continue to do his programming. A big part of why I enjoy his programming so much is week to week, you never do the same exact lift. Now, there was a weird trend for a while where it's like, okay, today we're going to bench press on a Bosu ball while you're juggling with one foot and balancing your dog on your hand. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is making minor changes in your key movements week over week over week. So let's just take bench press as an example. One week you're going to do a flat bench press. The next week you're going to do a slight incline bench press. The next week you're going to do a flat banded bench press. The next week you're going to do heavy dumbbell bench press. The next week you're going to do a slight decline bench press. The next week you're going to do a slight decline dumbbell bench press. The next week you're going to do an incline single arm dumbbell bench press. And there's a zillion variations, and you're doing the same movement, you're working the same muscles, and the cool thing is it kind of makes it fun. But the neat thing is by changing those angles across time, you are significantly reducing the opportunity for repetitive use injuries over time, and you're going to get a lot more time in your gym. The single biggest reason people don't get results is they get injured. And if you get hurt, you lose all your results. And actually the single biggest reason is inconsistency. One of the biggest reasons for inconsistency is injury, but that's neither here nor there. By doing these changes week over week and then adding that to your periodization, I promise if you do those two things, you will see a drastic improvement in your training in your garage gym. And again, those are two things of all the people that I've dealt with, thousands of people over the 8 years now I've done GymCrafter and over the time I've been a trainer. They're just things people, even if you know you should do them, most people don't do them. So give them a try over the next 6 to 12 months. And I promise that you're going to love the results that you see because of them. And then the last tip, the third tip in that vein, I kind of already touched on, which is do the same movement but with different tools. Press with the barbell, press with an easy bar, press with a neutral grip bar, press with dumbbells, press with kettlebells, right? Like squat with a kettlebell in a goblet squat position, squat with a landmine bar in a goblet squat position, front squat, back squat, squat with a safety bar, squat with a cambered bar, squat with just body weight, squat on the slant board, right? So using different implements to do the same movement is another way to really kind of mix things up, maintain your effectiveness, reduce the chance of overuse injury, break plateaus. Those three things will do so much for your training. And like I said, when we end up in a garage by ourselves, we end up just in a rut doing the same thing and not doing any of those things. So again, not for all of you out there who are like, yeah, Tim, I know all those things. The question is, are you doing all of those things? And for those of you who are doing all those things, chime in the comments down below. Help out the folks who maybe don't see the value in those things or think that those are a waste of time, because I know that's a lot of the reason I hear people say they don't want to do. They're just like, bench press is a bench press. I'm just going to get into the bar and bench press because I'm working up to that 225. And how am I going to know if I hit 225 if I got dumbbells in my hands, right? Like I always want to be under the bar. And the cool thing is if you do what I just told you that you should do for the next 4 to 6 months, and then you get back under a bar, the occasional week you get under a bar, you'll notice that your numbers are actually going up. So that's your training tips and the things that maybe we're not doing because we work out by ourselves in the garage gym. And here's the last one, and this one is really important for me. This is one I need to remind myself of on a regular basis, and it's one that I talk to people online, and it's like, I really think a lot of people with garage gyms are missing out on this. And again, it's something that a lot of people do much better at a commercial gym. What happens at a commercial gym in a lot of cases, and I know this was me, I would go in there, I would have noise canceling headphones, I'd put up my hood, I would do my workout, I don't want to look at anybody, I don't want to hear anybody, I don't want to listen to Taylor Swift. Sorry all you Swifties out there, but that's not workout music. I don't want to hear your crappy music, I want to listen to my crappy music, and I just want to be in my own little world, because for me, like when I had that gym at work, when I punched out and I went into that gym, which was really cool because it's in the building, that was me checking out of real life and getting away for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long I decided to spend in there. That's my time away from the world, right? And I think what happens is when we're at home, we forget to punch out, right? Like there's not that separation of our lives and our time in the gym to get away. One of the biggest benefits of having a gym is checking out of real life for a while and just being able to decompress and de-stress. And here's specifically what I'm talking about. Number one, people with families. I know that it's hard, especially with little kids. Like with little kids, the little kids are gonna come in. And honestly, if the little kids are in there watching you work out, that's pretty awesome, because hopefully that means they'll start working out. But at some point, your time in the gym needs to be your time in the gym. So there's nothing wrong with, I know this, when I managed a group of people that worked at home during the pandemic, one of the rules we had is, look, you gotta tell your family that you're at work. Like they can't just come in and go, hey honey, what do you want for dinner? Hey honey, what do you want for this? Hey, what do you want to do for this? Hey, watch Junior for 10 minutes while I go to the store. It's like, no, I'm working, right? Like if I was at work, you wouldn't be asking me this stuff, so I'm at work, stop asking me that stuff here. It really affects your productivity. And I think the same thing happens when we come into our garage gyms, is that we don't keep our personal lives and our lives outside of the gym. Not only in the interest of family. Now I'm single, I got a couple of dogs, love it when my dogs come in here. Gym dogs are the best accessories of all gym accessories. Fight me in the comments about it, whatever you say, you're wrong, especially if you say a gym cat. There's no such thing as a gym cat. Get that idiot animal out of your gym and get a dog. But anyway, I made a whole lot of people mad with that. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, I have been a cat owner. I'm speaking from experience. But anyway, not just the family and things like that, but just life in general. And this is the one I have to remind myself about. This is not the place to listen to the news. This is not the place to binge YouTube. This is not the place to watch your political podcasts or listen to your political podcasts. This is not the place to get angry at politicians. This is not, and I've even made this comment on some of the videos I made recently, and I know somebody chimed in, a regular listener who I really respect, chimed in and said, you shouldn't tell people they can't talk about the politicians here, because you're letting them off the hook. And I'm like, look, there's plenty of places to keep them on the hook. By the way, guys, nobody in the history of ever is ever going to change their mind or opinion on anything ever because of your YouTube comment. So just keep that in mind. But if you keep that stuff out of your gym, and for me it's music, right? Find music that you love that's going to take your mind off. Guys, I promise there's going to be crappy politicians right outside your gym door when you're working out. You do not need to bring them into your gym with you. There's going to be troubles you do not need to check your work email while you're in your gym. I promise you those emails are still going to be there when you get out of the gym. Like all of that stuff, if you leave it outside the gym, I know it's hard. Trust me, I have to remind myself on a regular basis. But one of the opportunities we have as garage gym owners is that this is our sanctuary. This is our place to come get away from the troubles of life. That's one of the biggest health benefits, is that we de-stress. We should feel better when we leave, right? We shouldn't feel worse and more stressed out. So if you at all can manage it, leave all of that stuff. And I know, as you guys know from a couple podcasts ago, I did a 90-day digital detox. I didn't do anything but music. And the group I did it with, we even restricted the type of music to only music that was positive and uplifting. No death metal, no Eminem, no gangster rap. I'm like, you just eliminated all of all the music I normally listen to on leg day, right? But I got to tell you, over the 90 days, man, it was so enjoyable to come in and listen to good quality music that, you know, wasn't telling people to kill people or angry yelling and screaming and things like that. Just good stuff. And maybe it is angry yelling music, but whatever it is, just make it not those podcasts. Make it not binging YouTube videos. Make it not watching, you know, people getting owned and just, I can't tell you, when I post videos on YouTube, it's like, how many people are going to get owned and destroyed and humiliated in one? Because every thumbnail with titles like so-and-so owns somebody, so like none of that stuff is good for our mental health, right? So we want to work on our bodies, we want to work on our minds. So I think that's enough of me being on that soapbox, but I really think that it's a big opportunity that we miss as garage gym owners, that you don't miss going to a commercial gym, which is to just leave the world outside the door, come in here, get yourself right with the world, right? Just, if you know, you know. So there's the ways that we can make our garage gyms better. There's the ways that if you have a garage gym, maybe some opportunities that you have that you're not taking advantage of to make your garage gym better, to make your time in the garage gym better, to make the equipment that you buy better, to make your workouts better, whatever it happens to be. And hopefully you like that. Hopefully it helped you guys out. If any of that helped you out, if any of that's something, like I said, you already do, put that down in the comments below. I always love to talk to you guys down there. I really appreciate it. Most of you guys are pretty awesome. So I love when you guys comment. I do answer all of the comments. And that is all I have for today's podcast. So until the next time you tune in, whether it's for a review, whether it's for a podcast, whether it's a how-to, whether it's from assembly videos coming soon, whatever it happens to be, I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, algorithm the heck out of this video for me. And until the next time, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.